finally come to a sad end. Coach Butch Davis has been fired by the university, and practice is only about 5 days away. The school feels bad. They know their timing is horrible, but they understand that it was something that needed to be done, and they did the right thing. The irony about it is that the school still doesn't find him responsible or find him um, in any way of like his fault that these things happen, just because of the fact that they say that there's no records of him knowing about the phone calls, no record of him knowing about tutors doing papers for players or agents appearing on campus, or apparently they're only firing him right now to save face because they don't want the NCAA to bury them. In fact, he's entitled to his salary because they don't have cause to fire him. They're just firing him because it's the right thing to do, and they just want a fresh start. And in fact, the athletic director is even stepping down because he feels bad that this happened on his watch, and therefore he feels that he should suffer some repercussions, and he's taking himself out of the job. But don't cry for Butch Davis. Butch Davis will be back. He'll be on the sideline somewhere next season, probably at a major university somewhere coaching. So it is what it is. He is a good coach. But I guess what people don't understand about college athletics, and no one seems to understand this for hundreds of years, it appears, that the only way you're going to win at some of these schools is you're going to have to get some people who are a little bit sketchy. You're not going to be able to get the Bob Knights of the world who just sort of runs a program his way, or Coach K who runs the program his way. You're going to get some guys. You're going to get some people at their schools or at their universities. They're going to get the schools in trouble. And I know Paul Hornung got in trouble a few years ago because he kind of made it kind of like a race thing when he said something about, getting the black athletes, whatever, at Notre Dame. But the fact of the matter is, some of these kids that come to these schools, they're in desperate situations. They don't have enough money to pay for things, and they take money or they take advice from people that they think have their best interests. And the reality is, coach can't control everything. So Butch Davis will be on the sideline somewhere soon, and hopefully he won't be doing the same things, but the guy wins, and that's all that matters. Some more bad. The Seattle Mariners, man, they finally ended their losing streak the other day by defeating the Yankees 9-2, but they had lost 17 games in a row. And no team has lost that many games probably in the last few years. I think the Nationals or the Padres, I think, lost 26 straight games. Or it might have even been the Rays, actually. But the point of the matter is, they're a really bad baseball team. I mean, the team as a whole is batting .234. Ichiro, who last season, I believe, passed Ty Cobb and Pete Rose for consecutive years of getting 200 hits, Ichiro is hitting only 266. I mean, this team, if it didn't have any pitching, this team would be as bad as the Mets were in 1962, when the Mets won only 40 games. And it's sad because this team has players who can actually play and has players that have value around this league. I mean, their pitching is the fourth best pitching earned run average for starters in the American League. And that's saying a lot considering the American League has a designated hitter. I mean, King Felix last year won the Cy Young, and his record was only 13-12, but he had a sub 3 earned run average. And he beat the Yankees the other day to end that streak. It's not good up there, folks. And I just hate the fact that, the next topic I'm about to bring up in the bad may happen to this team. And the next topic, of course, is the trade deadline in baseball. I hate the trade deadline in baseball. If you think about football, hockey, and basketball, Do you ever hear anything talked about in terms of the trade deadlines in those sports? I mean, how many players in the NBA can you remember that was traded during a season, in the middle of the season, has come onto a team and helped that team win the NBA championship? How many teams in hockey has that happened to, where a guy was traded to in the middle of the season to another team and led that team to a Stanley Cup? And even in the NFL, the NFL trade deadline, how many players have gone to teams and led those teams to the promised land? Not too many, if any. And I despise the trade deadline in baseball because basically what it does is allow teams to hire players for a short period of time, possibly negotiate with them to see if they would stick around, and decimate the team that the player just came from. I mean, can you imagine if Seattle traded Ichiro, traded King Felix? Why would you go to a Mariners game? I mean, the sad part about the Adrian Gonzalez going to the Red Sox in the offseason is the Padres, even though they're not playing that badly, I mean, they're still in last place, but, well, at least close to last place with the Dodgers, but think about that for a second. Can you imagine last season the Padres had given up Adrian Gonzalez during the season? And now the whole world wants Heath Bell from the Padres. So if you're a Padre fan, why in the world would you go to a baseball game knowing that your organization is essentially about to take away your only draw? I mean, look at the Houston Astros. The Houston Astros have Hunter Pence right now as their supposed face of the franchise player. I guarantee if Hunter Pence sat down next to you right now on a bus or stood behind you in line at your favorite eatery, you wouldn't know who Hunter Pence was. But he's about to be traded to somebody. And what does the Houston Astros have after that? They have Wandy Rodriguez. They have Carlos Lee. They could be traded too. And I hate the trade deadline because of the damage that it does to teams that lose these players. I mean, think about the Florida Marlins in 98 and in 2003. They won the World Series in those years, and then the next year they had to sell their whole team. And although people say it's because of bad business or because of the ownership, but just think about what the trades in baseball do to organizations that don't have Yankee money, Dodger money, Red Sox money, Cardinals money. And that's why I can't stand the trade deadline in baseball, because it kills baseball. I mean, think about the Pittsburgh Pirates right now. The Pittsburgh Pirates over the last 7-8 years have lost Zach Duke. They've lost Jason Bay. They've lost Brian Giles. And this is the first time in 20 years that they have a winning season. All those other years, Jack Wilson, Aramis Ramirez, they have mortgaged their team. They have mortgaged their team, it seems like every other year, or their best players are going someplace else. The Tampa Rays did it for years as well. And now they're starting to win. They're starting to understand that you got to keep somebody. I had this conversation earlier this year with a friend of mine. We're talking about the Kansas City Royals and how the Royals have all this young pitching supposedly going to come up. Well, how are these pitchers going to come up if they're all traded to other teams? I don't like it. And I think it's bad for the game. I'm going to really give you my opinion about this Beltran trade on 89.7 KLAS FM after this.